Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm John R. We're here reporting from Said by Woods and She Got Game. I'm here with the future sports personality, experienced reporter, and retired athlete, the lovely Paige Mcgowan. How's everything going with you, Paige?
Everything's good. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt. We got a lot to get to. Really exciting interview and stuff like that. Um, and you have you have a really unorthodox, upbringing and where you're from and stuff like that. So let's just start. Where were you born in the States? Like, where are you from in the States?
I was born in Wichita, Kansas, which is like sort of Central America, above Texas, above Oklahoma.
Got you. So Midwest girl for sure.
Yeah.
Midwest.
French City. Next, now I'm in Toronto, Canada.
How? Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So coming from Midwest Wichita, Kansas, and then essentially migrating over to Canada. How was that a huge culture shift and stuff like that? Like how was that transformation for you?
I was really young when I moved here, so I wouldn't say it was a huge culture shift, but one thing I will say for sure is that Toronto, Canada is very multicultural, which is phenomenal. Like I feel like because I've been like, in Canada now, I've gotten to experience so many different cultures, which has actually helped me a lot in my career because it helps me relate to a wider audience of people.
No doubt, no doubt. Especially in reporting, you got to be able to you
For
got
sure.
to be able to reach a bunch of people.
For sure.
Speaking of sports reporting, before we even get into the actual your career stuff, how did you begin getting involved in sports in general?
I got involved in sports from a very young age. My parents put me in sports when I was like as young as like 3 years old, for as long as I can remember. I've done multiple different sports. I started with, I think, gymnastics, which I was not great at, but it was fun.
Okay.
And then I went into soccer and volleyball, and then eventually fell in love with basketball, which was my number one sport. I played it all throughout high school and throughout college. Played it in competitively in rep, and now I'm playing in just women's leagues. But it's been a lot of fun. I've basically just been involved in sports my whole life.
That's actually interesting. So you still play currently, like you're playing like women's leagues and stuff like that. So you're still active for the most part.
Yeah, if I can find a good women's leagues to play in, there's not as many, unfortunately. But if I can find a good one to play in, I'll definitely put myself in there for sure if I have the time.
Super dope, super dope. You obviously it seems like basketball is 100% your passion, and where you've actually attracted to and grown to. Specifically, what inspired you to jump from, like you said, volleyball, gymnastics, all these different sports? What specifically inspired you to like pick up a basketball?
I started playing basketball at the YMCA when I was, I think, 4 years old, and I played with my sister. And it was more just like fun, because when you're four, you don't know any technical stuff. You're just running up and down the court and throwing the ball in the air and hoping it goes through the hoop.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, I think it was probably middle school, I just had the most fun with basketball. Because obviously, when you're in middle school, like you're not really thinking about like your future too much. You're not really thinking about your potential career and what you want to do. So it's more so just fun. So I just remember like it was just great exercise, running up and down. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun with friends. And then I was like, okay, let me try it in high school. Once again, had so much fun, got a little bit better, actually had some development like opportunities where my coaches actually like worked with me and made me better as they should. But so I just had so much fun with it. And I not to say I didn't have fun with volleyball and soccer, because I definitely had fun with them too. I think it was more so just like because in soccer's great, but you can go a whole game and have the final score be
Yeah.
0-0.
One zero
Like,
zero zero. Yeah. Yeah.
and volleyball is super fun, but you're mostly stationary other than like moving like just a little bit clockwise.
Mm-hmm.
And then basketball, there's just always something happening, and there's so many opportunities, like even just watching it too. There's so many opportunities for just like, and like the bench reactions and the crowd reactions to things. Like in basketball is just next level for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the whole environment, both as a player and as a spectator, is just that's what really got me onto basketball as my number one.
It's interesting you say that. I think learning and reporting on so many different sports as well. It really is a true environment depending on where you go and what sport you're watching. And it is really it's a different energy in basketball. It's like more static. It gets you electric, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you can sit back and watch and relax and watch, baseball, for example. You can sit back, relax, watch golf. And not to say it's not entertaining, it is. But it's more relaxed. And I'm more of like I like being on the edge of my seat, like, oh my God, yeah, like that's what
Yeah,
I like.
that makes sense. That makes sense. It's so interesting, man, because when I talk to a lot of athletes who's like dabbled into the reporting or like switched over fully, I always love to hear like the key. What was the transition? Like, how do because as an athlete, like myself and you, you understand like that competitive nature never dies.
Never.
Like you could be eating. I'm gonna eat
Yep.
faster than you. I could be. It's whatever. It's that competitive nature. Unfortunately, never dies. So, you know, um, in sports reporting, it's competitive. It's extremely competitive, but it's a different way you shift your energy. And I wanted to ask at first, like, what kind of made you want to transition into sports reporting from being an athlete in the first place?
Well, my sports reporting journey, it honestly makes sense when we go back to as far as like my childhood as to how I ended up in this career path and wanting to do this.
Okay.
From a young age, I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be in movies. Thought it would just look like fun. And I was always a drama queen. That's what everybody called me as a kid. They're like, oh, this little drama queen, like putting on a show. I was always like, okay, everybody sit down on the couch and watch me perform.
Mm-hmm.
That was me as a kid. And then grew up a little bit more, played more sports. I was like, oh, sports is fun. But, I was like, do I really want to play pro? Not really. Like, that's not really, that's more so just fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I, dabbled in like art and like modeling and, here and there, stuff like that, which eventually just, I was like, how do I, because my main goal in life was to always have a career that I looked forward to and
Okay.
that I enjoyed. Like, I wanted to wake up and be excited to go to work. So I was like, okay, how do I basically take all my hobbies and things that I find fun and put it into one?
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to be an actress, right? And not to say that reporting is like acting, but at the same time, I'm on camera.
Mm-hmm.
I might have a script, I might not have a script. It might be, but there's some similarities to.
Absolutely.
And then I enjoy sports. I enjoy watching sports. I enjoy playing sports. I understand sports. So why not kind of combine the two into sports reporting? And I graduated from media communications at
Mm-hmm.
Humber College in Toronto. And from there, I developed a lot of skills like videography was kind of like my number one skill there,
Mm-hmm.
and editing as well. And, photography, like coding, I wasn't great
Yeah,
at coding, but everything else I was good at.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I have all these skills now. What do I do with this? Like, what's next for me? So I started looking. I was like, okay, I think I want to take something else just to really like figure out what I want to do. And I came across journalism, and I was like, okay, I can do that. Actually, I took broadcast television and videography for like a month or two before, and then I dropped out to switch to journalism.
Okay.
And then I took journalism, and I was like, I really like being on camera. This is fun. Like, okay, now I can kind of report on sports, take my knowledge from, because we had to do a lot of our own filming and editing
Yep.
in journalism class. So I took my knowledge from media communications, which gave me an edge for sure in journalism. And I basically just took everything I learned from media communications and applied it into journalism. And then,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's really interesting, man, because a lot of people don't understand that sometimes there's a bunch of improvising and reporting, and there's a bunch of, like you said, writing scripts and understanding. Okay, you got 10 seconds to say X amount of, what I mean. So it's a lot of things and stuff revolving around that side of the camera. So I that's actually really interesting to know, and you found a way to successfully combine all three. That's really cool.
yeah.
That's really cool.
And even now I kind of do all of the above. Like I do like I'll do my on camera bit, but
Yep.
I will have like, my tripod set up. I'll set up my camera and everything, settings and everything, and then I take my own footage and then I will edit it myself. Obviously there's been times where like, I have help to do that too, but like in certain situations you don't always have it. So having the background skills to be able to film and edit and everything myself,
It's super dope.
yeah, it's like a safety net just in case we don't have someone else that can do that.
100%. A lot of the time, again, you in this line of work, you got to be innovative. You got to be innovative, and a lot of people sometimes don't have the skills or resources to help you. So you kind of you kind of got to be a one man wrecking crew. So that's super cool. That's super cool. While we just discussed a little bit of the nuances about sports reporting and the business. Unfortunately, there is a bad side. There's pros and cons to everything. And with you being a woman in sports, the elephant in the room is always, you're kind of a minority in a majority men's space, right? How much more difficult have you found, your journey to be obviously being considered a woman in a male dominated space?
I feel like I've done a really good job proving myself, but in the same sense that a man wouldn't necessarily have to prove themselves in the area of sports knowledge. Like I'll post something on TikTok, I'll post something like on YouTube, and like I might get an odd comment. It's like, well, who really wrote your script? Like, how do you know what a triple double is? Like do you don't know what a triple double is? Like,
Crazy.
yes, I do. Like, what? Who's to say because I'm a woman I don't know certain knowledge terminologies? And then they'll start quizzing me. They'll be like, "Who won the NBA championships back in 1979?" And I was like, "I don't know that."
Yeah.
Like, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because I don't know that information, they're like, "Well, they just picked you because you're pretty. They picked you because you're a female with a nice face." That's kind of all they say past that.
Hmm.
And even in school, when I was in my first or second year of journalism, we
Okay.
had an opportunity to we got into our teacher assigned us a group, and we basically had to assign ourselves roles of news anchor, sports anchor, weather anchor, and director.
Okay.
And I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, my group was like, "Okay, we decided." Mind you, I was the only female in the group. So how the conversation went, I was like, oh, okay, what's happening? And also at this point too, I've made it very clear to all my classmates that I was into the sports side of
Mhm.
things. Because obviously we had to do some new stuff, but I made it very clear to my peers and classmates and everybody that I was into sports.
Yeah. Hmm.
On top of also playing the sport in college as well and having to leave class sometimes to go
Crazy.
play my own games and tournaments. So
Crazy.
but I came back and my classmates or my group mates were like, okay, so this guy's going to be the director. This guy's going to be the news. This guy's going to be sports. And Paige, obviously, you're going to be the weather anchor. And not to say that there's anything bad with being a weather anchor. I would have been more than happy to do it, but it was the way that it was said that
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
why obviously am I the weather anchor?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine the ignorance you guys do face with. It's already a tough business, as probably more. You probably know better than others. However, I could just imagine, yeah, because then you got to deal with the freaking Twitter fingers. Those guys come out, they kill us. So like, I can only imagine, God forbid you guys miss a comma or something, or and they light you guys up. It's unfortunate.
People are
Um,
very cold behind the scenes.
oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, well, that's it. That's really interesting, man. That is kind of crazy. It's just ignorance, man. I think that it comes to a point in time. I've had conversations with women just in general that really love the sport, and sometimes they just pure passion because unfortunately you guys don't really get the love you guys deserve. You guys don't really get the recognition you guys deserve. Like I love WNBA by the way. I can name probably like 10, 15 players. A lot of people can't do that, but it's interesting. I do think it's progressing over time. Like over time, I think it's changing. Finally, you guys are, the ball's rolling. Yeah, right. However, it's still you just still got the people living in, the '60s right now. So it's nothing you could do about it, unfortunately. But
And
just
not to
keep
say that we
going.
don't get love as well. Like there are some people, like you say you love the WNBA. Like there are some people that definitely show love and don't look at us as a woman in
Yeah,
a male career
yeah.
path. I've definitely received some love for sure, but there's definitely been more obstacles that I've had to overcome than a man in my position.
And that's very unfortunate. That kind of leads me into what my next question is for you. I kind of want to discuss. So while you've definitely had to overcome things personally and through your career and where you are now, for anyone trying to break into the business or may not know all the nuances and stuff like that into it, what are some of the challenges you can kind of tell them about that you've had to go through in general whether you're a woman or not.
Okay. Well, women or not, the main challenge is honestly just getting your foot in the door. Once you get your foot in the door, from there you can start building,
Mm,
and you're gonna have to put in the work for sure. It's not just gonna come to you.
yeah,
That's why a lot of people, go to school for something and they don't end up actually doing what they studied in their career.
yeah,
As not a lot of people know that you really, really, really do have to put in the work. You have to go out, you have to meet people, you have to network, and you have to be on your A game. You have to have your elevator pitch. You have to like know what you represent, what you want to do, where you want to go, and you have to just be sure of it, and then you just have to go for it. So the challenges is really just getting your foot in the door, and then from there, once your foot's in the door, it's up to you how far you go from there. But I would say that's definitely the main challenge, is just getting in there, because it is a very competitive field. It's a very competitive field. A lot of people want to be sports reporters.
mm,
I know so many people. When I worked at TSN I was an intern at TSN for a little bit. It's a sports network in Toronto.
okay,
I was interning there, and there were so many people behind the scenes. Obviously, I was behind the scenes at the time. I'm an intern.
mm,
There's so many people behind the scenes that said, like, yeah, like, I want to be a broadcaster. I want to be a reporter. Like, I want to get there. And they've been maybe at TSN for a couple of years now. And like everybody at TSN says, you have to get experience for years. Like, you have to get quite a bit of experience. And then from there, now you'll finally get the opportunity. But then to get that experience is hard.
yeah, yeah,
So some people will say, like, it's like any job you get, right? Like they say, like, oh, well, you need experience to work here. It's like, well, if you gave me the opportunity, I would have
yeah.
some.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Unfortunately, like I think it's a catch-22. The way just college and stuff is set up, it's like, yeah, you get the paper, but now you got no experience. So now you got to go out and get that experience to try and get to where you're going. It's tough. It's tough.
I will say for that though, if you do your research and you can pick a good university or a good college, my college, for example, my I had a whole year pretty much, or a whole semester, where they gave us experience. Like our whole semester was us working on script writing and being on camera and going out and filming stuff and interviewing people. Like our whole semester was experience. So I had it was only like my school's news program, but I did have a whole demo reel to provide to somebody if I wanted to get a job.
Nice. Well, that's pretty unique. I feel like most universities and stuff like that, a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So that's really cool.
I would say, like, for sure, do your research, find a good school. If this is something you want to get into, find a good school that provides you with an opportunity to build your resume and build your demo reel within the school, that they will
Hmm.
with that. And also find one that will kind of like put you in a position to go into an internship somewhere
Yeah,
else. And
yeah,
then with the internship, put in the work as well. Because that's a big networking opportunity and it's good practice. So
absolutely. Yeah, internships will take you really far, especially help you in networking. It's all about who you know in this business. So, um, you did mention, because Humber College is actually pretty prestigious. I did some research out there. Obviously, it's not in the States. I did some research out there. It's a pretty prestigious school in Canada. And with that being said, as well as you are a reporter, and I find some of your work to be phenomenal. However, on the flip side, you actually weren't a bad athlete as well. In fact, in 2018, you won the Defensive Player Award. And then I believe the following year, you won the Bia Locke Award of distinction. I'm not sure what that award entails and stuff, but what I can assume is, these must have meant a lot to you or whatever. What was going through your mind when were receiving these awards?
I mean, it's always nice to be recognized for the work that you put in.
Yeah.
So it was really, really nice. I always did pride myself on defense. So like on the court. So like I was always that one. Like, there's always the one person on the team where it's like when someone else on the other team is just killing, they're killing, killing, killing. And then you have to go on the bench, you go, Paige, and then I already know what it is, and I'm coming on,
Yeah.
and I'm locking it down. I'm not letting them touch the ball. Like
Mhm.
that's what's fun to me. So being recognized for that at the end of the year to get that award was really dope. And then I was really working on my offense after that, because I was like, okay, I got my defensive award. Let me get an offensive award now. And I feel like I really improved on it, but I didn't get the award, but it's okay. It's
Yeah.
fine. but I worked really hard on it. I think I did improve quite a bit. And then the Jim Bialek Award, that was award for just somebody that has been a part of the athletic department for a long time and has contributed greatly to it, is pretty much what the award was. Because on top of doing stuff with my team, I
Yep.
was also staff, so I would do like videography and
Oh,
photography as well within the athletic department at Humber College.
that's interesting as well. So you sideline reported as well as played at the same time. Obviously, not while you were playing, but for different games and stuff, you were active.
Yeah, I wish there was somebody there to record my games, but it's fine. I got other people.
Oh, good. Oh, good. You know, I want to say that did that. So obviously, basing that off, your experience a little bit and being able to make a reel, did that play into your reporting experience early? Like, did you kind of mentioned you appreciate it because they kind of gave you the opportunity to set you up going forward, correct? I want to ask you, and a lot of your sports and a lot of your experience is based in Canada. Like that's where you're predominantly set in stone. However, if an opportunity did come from the States or it did come from wherever, are you open minded or willing to, relocate if possible to gain other opportunities?
100%. I'm actually a dual citizen as well, so I can do that very easily. Like being born in Wichita, I will be able to do that very easily. So I definitely hope to plan. I actually hope like to be able to utilize that. And not that I've relocated, but I've also done some reporting work in Jamaica as well. So I do have some um non-Canadian opportunities that have come up. So I do definitely hope for that. I'm looking to potentially even do some stuff in Asia at some point, or maybe in Europe, or definitely in America. That's definitely something I want to do. So yeah, I would definitely do that.
I kind of want to ask you about that. You kind of want to dive into that. You mentioned your Jamaican experience. Now that's a different world out there completely. Just the culture, just even how they intake sports and emphasis on sports and stuff. How was that experience for you?
It was really cool. I'm actually going out there in 2 weeks.
Nice.
To there's a league going on currently right now. I'm going to be hopping on a plane and going over there for the playoffs and the finals. So I'll be reporting that. So stay tuned.
Super
But
dope. Okay.
yeah, it was really cool. I went back in August,
Okay.
and like I said, being in Toronto, Canada, it's very multicultural. So it was not a big culture shock to go to Jamaica. I have a lot of Jamaican friends. I've learned a little bit of patois. I love the food. I love the culture. I love the music.
Yeah.
So, it was not too much of a culture shock. It was just really cool to experience. And I went to Kingston, so I wasn't in like the tourist side of it.
Nice. Yeah.
When I go back now, I will be going to Kingston again. So it was really cool. It was different. This is the first time ever that they're making a Caribbean pro basketball league.
Okay.
It's
Nice.
also cool to just be a part of something that's brand new.
Mm-hmm. To
Playing
build.
level is really good. We have some real we have some actual local Jamaican players, and
Okay.
then we also have some American imports as well as Canadian imports going. So it's a real pro league. It's going really good so far. It was really cool to just go and embrace another culture.
Okay.
Like I got the opportunity like to travel for work has always been something I wanted to do. So now I'm able to go somewhere like Jamaica, which
Gotcha.
is warm, which I love. Love me some. It's cold right now where I am, so I'm excited to go to
Yeah.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
That alone. But it was really cool. It was really cool to get to know everybody and to see how they're living and to see how sports, how the fans there, so cool. The performances, everybody there is loud, they're dancing, they're like it's a lot of fun. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
I can imagine. I can imagine that Jamaican culture is it's really interesting, especially like from an outsider looking in. It's so unique and it's so I want to say they're very welcoming. Like it's unreal. It's unreal.
They love it. Like if you embrace their culture, they love it. They're
Uh,
like, let me like try this, try this, try this, try this, say this, do this. Like they love it.
Absolutely unreal, man. I want to ask you, because you have several moments of your career and just your life, right? Here at She Got Game, we have a segment always called the She Got Game Moment. If you meaning such like throughout your career, everyone kind of has the fraud syndrome, right? Everyone kind of has the I'm not ready to be here. I mean, I don't, I don't have enough on my resume to be talking to this person, whatever the case is. However, the she got game moment is when you have arrived or you realize your worth and you realize, okay, I'm good at what I do. You know what I mean? When was your she got game moment in your career?
I think mine was probably when I was working in the NBLC, which is the pro league in Canada.
Okay.
Uh, is a pro league in Canada, not the. There's multiple. Well, there's a few. It was probably when I was there, and I was, when you're watching a game, you kind of prepare questions in your head.
Yeah.
You kind of can prepare who you're going to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
You keep an eye on the stat sheet, et cetera. But then sometimes some things happen. We go into overtime. A next player starts turning up.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy happens, and now you have to switch your questions last minute. The crowd is hyped. You don't have time to think about it because now you're into the game as well, and you're excited yourself, and you're like, oh my gosh. So
Mm-hmm.
then it comes down to, okay, now I have to go grab this guy to do an interview. I grab him over, and I'm kind of coming up with questions on the fly, and he's throwing me off with some of the answers. So I have to kind of like, think on the spot, come up with some stuff on the fly as well. And then I do my on-camera part, and then I finish everything up and I look at it and I'm like, I did that. I'm good at this. Like, I can really come up with questions on the top of my head, and I didn't look like I was struggling. Like, there was no stuttering. It was just a fluent conversation, and it was fun, and it was easy, and it was like my heart was racing, but it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, and then I hear my voice back and I'm like, I sound like a reporter. Like, close my eyes, like, is that me? Like, who is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was my moment. Like, what? Like, this is definitely my career path. Like, I am good at this. Like, I can really do this.
That's interesting. So it's so crazy how while there is an art to what we do, right? There's 100% art to it. There's also a point where you're gonna have to be whoever Paige McGowan is, and there's a personable aspect of it, and it's that's really cool where you kind of had the off the top of your dome like just switching a fly, and that's cool. That's your she got game moment growing forward.
I would say that, yeah. And then I had a TikTok go viral of me doing, it was one of my reporting things, but it was a blooper, like behind the scenes. I have a lot of bloopers.
Okay.
um,
Okay.
because for me, this is fun. Like, it is my job, and I do take it very seriously, but it's fun for me. So like, there's times where the camera's on, and even though nothing's happening at the moment, I'll just be dancing in front of the camera. I'll be like ready, like I said, like a kid. Like, I'll put everyone down and be like, watch me
Yeah.
perform.
Yeah.
So I definitely have a lot of bloopers. And when that video went viral, everybody loved it. They're like, we love to see this. Like, like, let's see, like, we get to see her personality, because in reporting, you do have to be professional, of course. And
Yeah.
like, I feel like you don't always get to show your personality. So I feel like people loved to see that, like, it's fun. Like, you get to like show a little bit of your personality as well. So I can kind of tie in my reporting and my personality and kind of make it into one. And then seeing that people actually liked that and responded well to it, I was like, okay, let's do it.
Fire. Fire, man. I love to hear that, man. I love to hear when people can be true to themselves and get rewarded for it. And I agree with you. A lot of corporate and a lot of different professions you can't be. Like a doctor can't be who they are. Like your doctor's gotta be,
You
you know
gotta,
what I
yeah.
mean? You
And
know
you
what I
can't me. Like, you're, most of the time it's, like, I don't want to hear that I need eye surgery, or like, I don't want to hear that I need stitches, but like,
mean?
you gotta tell us, and you gotta be professional, and you gotta know what you're saying.
So yeah, no, man, I think that's interesting, man. I really like that because this is one of the professions you can be yourself, and as you said, get paid to do it or not get paid to do it, whatever the case is, but you really get to be yourself, enjoy it. I think that's cool. I want to transition slight bit into into reporting and even knowing some of that stuff on the top of your head. It comes with all. It just basically purely comes down to experiences, right? You have a playing background, and not many do. Like some people get into report and never played sports in their life. They might have followed it their whole life. With that being said, and you playing at a collegiate level, which is fairly high, How much has that experience played into some of your reporting and some of your breaking down the game that other reporters may not be able to understand?
I feel like it's helped a lot because, at least for me personally, I am a visual and kinesthetic learner. Like,
Okay.
I learn best by doing things.
Okay.
So the fact that I've done it and I've played it myself has really helped me in my career. Same thing, like, when a player becomes a coach,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
you look at them and you're like, that's a player's coach. And a lot of the time people, like, not to say that non-players coaches can't be phenomenal, because obviously they can, but a lot of times, like, a player's coach, they really are looking out for their players because they know what the players want, what the players are going through,
Mhm.
and what they want to hear and see and do. So the same thing, like, I'm a player's reporter. I know, kind of like, like, if I were to be in that person's shoes, which I can put myself in their shoes because I've been a player before, I know how they're feeling. What
Mhm.
kind of questions would I want to be asked? What kind of things from the game would I want to talk about?
True.
So I can kind of like navigate it in a way that I can ask them those questions accordingly. And now I can get them hyped up, because if I ask them if they just want a championship and they're all hyped up, now they have to kind of calm down, come to an interview. No, let's not calm down. Let's be hyped up. Like, you just want a championship. Like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
I just have a couple questions, but like, let's
Yeah. Yeah.
let's make this fun. So I feel like it's really helped in the aspect that, like, I can just relate to the player and I know what they've just done and what they're going through.
Mhm.
And then I can ask my questions accordingly from that, as well as just also knowing specifics, like things like triple doubles. That's something that, if you aren't a player or if you don't study the game, not that many people, I've had to tell many people what a triple double is.
Mhm.
That's not involved in the sports world. So it's stuff like that, like just little things that just make a little bit of a difference to make the player feel like like the same thing here, like, even with you, like, you've done your research on me, like, to feel like the player knows that I was actually watching and I actually care,
Mhm.
and like, I want other people to know what it is they just did, because it's different when you're talking to somebody that actually knows a little bit about you or knows what you just did or is equally as excited as you and they're in the environment. It's a different experience for sure, and I feel like that, me being a player transition to a reporter, has really benefited my reporting side of it.
I I don't have clips at the moment. However, I could definitely tell. There's definitely been a few. I caught a few of your clips where you were either at halftime or towards the end of the game, and I really enjoy your walkthroughs. Like, we all have segments where you walk through the game. Hey,
Mm.
at this point, 3 minutes into the game, they set a screen for you, double pin down, you kick out. Even that language, like understanding that jargon and stuff like that, has come from experience and you playing. And I think, outside of the black and white reporting, like, hey, you hit a big shot, versus like you breaking the game down with them and you could tell they're involved in it. I think it's really cool. I think it's one of the best parts.
Like, to even, like, to someone who doesn't know the sport as well, they wouldn't notice things like a killer assist, you
Yep.
know? Because most of the time, if you don't really know the sport, you only really look at the shots, like the stuff that gets on the scoreboard.
Yep.
But like, people out here, like, there could be somebody that can do like a hezzy crossover, break somebody's ankles, get down there, go down and assist, and then everyone's just be like, "Oh, did you see that dunk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but did you see that assist?"
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that too.
No, no, that's dope, man. That's see, I like to say that's not a student of the game, but that's like the game within the game. I think that's like you said, from the viewer's eye, they would look at the dunk, but really what you're looking at is, okay, how he created separation, breaks down, dimes them off. Like, that's the game within the game. That, that's cool, man. That's cool.
It's the art of the game.
It's the art. It's the art of the game. Speaking of art of the game, there's art to broadcast. I know people don't think so, or maybe they do, but there's an art to this. It really is. And a lot of people, they often use other professionals to get better at what they do, right? Because you're starting out. Yeah, we found success in our career. However, you only get better and only by doing this, by relating your work to others, right? With that being said, are there any sports broadcasters that you love to watch and you love to, kind of critique or take some of their stuff and implement it in your own broadcast?
I definitely have a few that I look up to.
Okay,
Um, Got to give a shout out to the goat, Doris Burke.
go.
Goat.
It's the go. Yeah.
Gotta give her a shout out. She's phenomenal, especially for how long that she has managed. Because unfortunately, once again, another con of being a woman in the industry is we have a short shelf life. And Doris Burke is still here years, 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 and she's still killing the game. So
Mhm.
love that for her. Definitely look up to her. I also look up to Malika Andrews.
Love Malika. Yep.
She's great. She's young, beautiful, and she knows her stuff. And her projection in her voice is phenomenal. And her like she's just fun to watch. Like she's serious, which in what she's talking about, but like she like it's her. I don't know if it's her tone or if it's her just personality or like her aura or her vibe, but she's just really, really like it's calming, but it's exciting, and it's just like she's really cool to watch. So I
Yep.
definitely look up to Malika. And then got to give a shout out to my Toronto girl, Kayla Gray. She works for
Okay,
TSN.
great. Yeah. Yeah.
She works for TSN, so I have had the opportunity to meet her. She's really cool. She does a great job. Her swag is, crazy. Love that. That's how I'm trying to be. And she's really great. Like she really gets to know all of her players. She knows her stuff.
Mhm.
She does a great job. She says what's on her mind, and she doesn't care who likes it or who doesn't like it. And she's just a boss woman, and she's definitely someone I look up to as well.
That's super dope, man. The three women you chose, that's a hell of a class, to be honest with you. But the coolest part I think of them all, they all are three very different. Doris Burke kind of, she kind of always breaks down in the game and she has that experience. However, she may not bring the extra spunk and stuff. Like Doris Burke is more laid back, buttoned up. However, Malika gives you that like aura and that super duper dope energy. It's hard to explain. I know exactly what you're saying when you watch her. She's just glowing off the screen. And then Kayla is like a mixture of all three. Like I love Kayla Gray. I've watched a bunch of her stuff as well. So that's really interesting, and I can honestly see it. Like all three you trying to implement. In yeah, yeah.
Like I like that. Thank you. I like that. What shoes are those? Take that. Cool.
People underestimate that. Appearance is a lot, man. I mean, like you, especially I think for the women aspect of it on broadcasting. Because
It
unfortunately,
almost gives us an opportunity to show our personality a
yeah,
little. We have to
yeah.
obviously there's like an element that we have to follow, like a certain guideline of professionalism, but it gives us an opportunity to show our personality.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I always figured, dressing and that's just part of our culture. It's another form of expression, and it does suck though because if I wanted to, I could hop on a camera in a black and white suit, no one would even question it, right? Versus like a woman reporter who's next to me could wear a black dress and it could just be like, you know. So
Everybody wears that.
what I mean? So it is tough, but that's really interesting, man. That's really dope. I can see it in you. I can see that's where you're working towards. So that's really interesting.
and they're all just really, really cool people. Like I follow them on Instagram. They're just cool.
Yeah,
Like reporting aside, they're cool people. Like so it's just and I can tell that like I feel like I can like feel the energy from them, and like they're just like they're definitely good. They're good at what they do. They're meant to be there. They're meant to do this.
yep,
And they're definitely some people that if you don't know anyone watching that don't know who they are, definitely look them up.
100%, 100%. So we kind of hit on a bunch of your experiences. You said NBL, you said Elite One in Kingston, I believe. I wanted to ask you, which experience do you personally believe, you know, kind of helped shape your career the most? Like, which experience did you really, you know, find more beneficial for your reporting? While they all might have been beneficial, I don't want to make you, choose one and neglect the others. However, which one did you really appreciate the most out of the three?
I don't know if it's necessarily one that I appreciate the most because I feel like I got something very different from all of them.
Yeah.
When I was at Humber College, that was obviously my starting point. Like all the stuff that I did through there, that was my starting point.
Yep.
So I appreciate that one because that one got me started. And I had my teachers there to help me through it and to give me advice and to cheer me on. My teachers were phenomenal. Like my teachers Like they even gave me an award as well for my sports reporting. Like they were the ones, like after I was done reporting, like I would hear them clapping in the back because I was the first one of the semester to like go a whole, like reading the teleprompter and go through with no mistakes. Like we didn't have to restart at all.
Dope. Dope.
And like, but like I didn't even realize I did that, and then all of a sudden they're coming, they're doing the slow clap. So it was just, that was really cool to know that like my teachers actually cared.
Mhm.
And then I appreciate the MBL because that one was my first pro experience. Like
Mhm.
this was my first time in a professional setting
No doubt.
to what I do. So that one was really like, I want to call it also kind of my beginning, in the sense that it was just a completely different area of my career that I haven't done yet and that I
Gotcha.
want to get to. So I appreciate that one because it was my first opportunity to get my pro experience and to practice. And I got to meet so many cool people. I got to watch some cool games. I got to sit courtside. I got to film it. It was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like I got a lot from that. I got a lot of good content to build my resume. And then the elite one, I will let you know more when I come back from it soon. But
Yep.
it's really dope because that one is just completely different because I'm in a whole other country now,
True.
and it's still a pro level. And but now I'm in a different country, so, and I'm in a warm country, so I definitely appreciate that.
Mhm.
But it's I appreciate all of them.
Okay.
All of them have taught me something different than the other one.
Gotcha.
All of them have been different levels of my career to help me practice at different levels. And I feel like I'm just getting better and better and better. And I feel like Elite One, because it is a new league and people were just very excited about it, I got to incorporate a little bit more than just like player interviews. I got to interview staff. I got to interview fans. I got to interview like performers. So it was different, but it was cool. I think I got to do a little bit more newsy stuff with Elite One because it is the first time that this is happening in the
Yeah,
Caribbean.
of course.
So I appreciate all of them for different reasons.
Okay. I mean, look, that's one way to take of it. Yeah, that's one, and they all shaped your career in their own each individual way.
Yeah. And I had fun with all of them. There was definitely I have nothing negative to say about any of them.
No, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. And honestly, reflecting back and looking at it, when it's all said and done, it's probably got to be a crazy, crazy journey realization for you as well.
Some of it's a blur. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. So now I kind of, a lot of people don't know, like, so a lot of people do know your broadcast and they followed you and stuff for however long, right? However, they don't know that you also have a journalism background, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of people do in this field, but a lot of people get more recognized for on the air type stuff. And I wanted to ask you, out of the two, because you originally started in journalism and then you brought your way up into the broadcasting world. Out of the two, which do you personally enjoy more?
I enjoy the on-camera aspect more for sure.
Okay.
I do enjoy the journalism side of things because obviously I still use that with my reporting and broadcasting and on-camera experience.
No.
Like coming up with my own script writing and stuff like that. I now kind of use journalism more so just like random for fun. Like I'll write for fun. I'll write about things I'm passionate about, and that's more so just now a hobby, I think.
Gotcha. You kind of use it as a release or like kind of to get your flows going, like your creative flows going.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense. As an established writer, like I said previously before you hopped on air, what would you recommend for younger writers who are looking to kind of separate themselves from the pack? As you know, that also is a competitive world within itself, all the writers out there. So what would you, recommend for younger writers to kind of separate themselves from the pack?
I think it all depends on where you want to go with your writing. So I can just speak from my experience of where I wanted to go and how I became successful at it. Is for me, write about what you actually care about.
Mm,
Because if you're writing about something you're not passionate about, it's gonna read it all over the paper. Like I'm gonna read this and be like, what is this? This is boring. But if you're actually passionate about it, you have your own jargon. You might throw in a 1-2 pun, a joke, make it interesting to read. I think that will definitely separate you because that's actually something that you care about and you can actually hear your own voice in those writings.
mm.
and it's just more entertaining to read. And
I,
nobody wants to read something just boring,
yeah.
like, like
No, no, no. That makes a
a
lot of
little
sense.
personality in it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've spoken with a bunch of writers, and a lot of them have said like storytelling. Some of them have said like finding your voice, but it's so simple, and like sometimes that's the thing that people miss. That's a very true. Like write about what you like. Like why are you writing about this, and that, where you don't care? You're absolutely right. You can tell when someone doesn't care or their writing's lacking something. That's a fair point. That's a fair
And it will naturally separate you because no one person is exactly alike.
facts.
So
Hmm.
that alone, if you write about what is true to you and how you feel, and if you actually care about it, you're actually passionate about it, you've actually experienced it, that will naturally separate you from other people. Because if you're out here writing about stuff you don't really care about, then you're just going to sound like generic. It's not going to separate you from anything because you're probably sounding like somebody else. You're probably sounding like the research that you've had to look up to figure out what the heck you're writing about.
Hmm. Hmm. So then you just sound like a bunch of people, and you're just spewing out stuff. That
You're not
makes
gonna,
sense. That makes sense. I want to discuss one of the most interesting things I've read about. I've read a lot of your work prior to the interview, and one of the most interesting things I've read is your article, "Life After the Buzz." You actually did a post on it on IG. I thought it was a unique stance and just kind of how you got to that point. What was the preparation in your mind getting to that point to make that article?
so we were assigned to write an essay in class, and we had the creative freedom to kind of like arrange the essay in any way that we wanted to.
Hmm.
And he basically just told us, he said, find something that you want to write about. So I thought about it and I was like, okay, like how can I, take the stuff that I love and put it on paper?
Yep.
And essays for me, like even from a young kid, like if you give me the creative freedom to write the essay how I want to, you will enjoy reading my essay. If you do not give me the creative freedom, you say I need this intro, this paragraph, this paragraph, this paragraph, and an outro. Like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
restricting my creative process. Like how am I supposed to like create something that's actually worth reading? So I was given the creative green light to write what I wanted, whatever I wanted about, as long as I was passionate about it.
Hmm.
And I was allowed to format it any way that I wanted as well. It didn't have to be any kind of particular like school sanctioned like essay format. It could be literally anything we wanted as long as it was an essay. So I thought about it for a while. I think I took like a week when other people were already kind of starting and already writing. I was like, okay, let me think about this. Like, what do I know? What am I passionate about? What have I experienced? What can I write about? And I was like, okay, like a woman in sports, a woman in journalism,
Hmm.
basketball. Like at that point too, I was coming to the end of like my basketball career because I think I had like one tournament left coming up.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh man. And then I just reflecting back to how I felt like at the end of my rep
Yeah.
season, at the end of my high school season, and like I cried at the end. It's sad. It's like an end of a chapter. So it's like, okay, let me write about that because I feel like this is something that you can't really find on Google because it's like more of a feeling.
Yeah.
It's things that I've gone through that I know other people have gone through.
Hmm.
I know other people can relate to. And it's not, and yes, my article is about life after the buzzer in relation to basketball.
Hmm.
But if you take that, you can apply it to literally anything else, like the end of any chapter in your life, or struggling in any aspect of career and sports, and like things that people have to go through overcoming barriers
Yeah.
to where you are now. It's something that I feel like anybody can relate to. So I was like, okay, how do I make this in a way that is me telling my story in a way that other people will read it and be able to find a way? Like I guarantee, like if you read it, there's got to be at least one thing that you can probably relate to.
Yeah.
That was my goal.
Mm.
And so when I was writing it, I just honestly I just wrote. Like I didn't think about it, I didn't think too hard, I just wrote. And then when I was done writing, I formatted it so that it actually was
Made sense.
proper cohesive sentences. But I just wrote whatever I was thinking, and then I just put it all together.
I would. I mean, I think a key part of what you said, I think for me personally is the creative freedom, right? And a lot of publications and stuff like that, it is always format. You got to write 450 words, 1,000 words, and
Yeah.
it kind of takes away from sometimes the substance of your article because you could probably have like 350 of really good content of what your stuff is, but that extra 150 words or 200 words is nonsense. Yeah, it's nonsense, and it messes up the whole article. You're fitting in quotes that you necessarily may not need. Um, and I that makes sense. I read it. I read it through the IG post. Like I obviously didn't have it, but I read it through the IG post. I enjoyed it personally, and it was a lot of relatability into it. Once this interview goes out, I'll take the post and kind of screenshot it on there. But you know, I find it interesting, man, because the creative freedom allows you to be you, right? It allows you to be you, and it allows the best of you to be you. And that is just I think it explains it in a nutshell of why that article was so good and why it was highly recognized, right?
It was just really cool to be able to, like, for a school assignment, to
Yeah,
tell my story
super dope.
while it's still being like an actual like essay that didn't, it felt like I was telling my story, but it wasn't telling my story. It was almost kind of like a letter to younger me. Like
That's always a fun experience too.
like if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would you tell them? And that was kind of what I was, that's kind of what I was going for. Cause I was like, if I could go back, I would tell her to just really take it all in, like enjoy it, like live in the moment. And that's something that you can relate to in literally any aspect of life. Like you go through things and you're like, oh man, like, and that's something that I've carried through ever since I wrote that article. Like now when I'm, when you're at a championship game as a reporter, you're thinking, okay, what am I going to ask them? What's my next step? Now I have to edit this. I have to have this due by this time. But if I always like make sure that I take a second, I take everything in, I enjoy it, stop and smell the roses. Like I feel like that's very important. And that's kind of the point that I wanted to get across, is like just slow down every now and then,
Yeah,
really enjoy it, because life is too short
yeah,
for not enjoy any aspect that you can. And then things end quickly, like life after the buzzer. Like now I'm living life after the buzzer. I'm not playing anymore. So it's a whole, I'm on a new chapter.
yeah. No,
That
man.
was a letter to my younger self, and it was chapter one, and now I'm on chapter two.
It's super dope. It's super dope, and now you're living your life after the buzzer, and I think it's an interesting concept, and I think a lot of people have a pretty cool story to tell their younger selves, if they were given that assignment and stuff now. Um, I do want to tap into a little bit, because you mentioned it's more of a hobby now, right? As good as you were as a writer, and probably still are, but it's you prioritize being on air, and it's a different art. It's a very different art. With that being said, what are some of your hobbies you like to do to kind of lose yourself in time and truly be in the moment?
I have so many hobbies.
Yeah.
I have so many. Um,
Okay.
I paint, like right here we have, right, me. I painted this.
Oh my God. Wait, is that real? That's all you?
That's me. That's my signature. PM.
No way.
So I
20
painted this
24 forever, man. 24 forever, man.
forever.
R.I.P. GT and Kobe.
Yeah.
Wait, that's actually insane, man. Like you do this like on for fun and
Yeah. Just to like lose myself. And like I really do lose myself when I'm doing it, because when I look at this, I don't know
yeah.
how I did this. I don't know how it happened. I blacked out. I don't know. I just like, I feel like when I'm painting,
Hmm.
like when I start, I'm just, I'm there, I'm having fun, I'm painting, I'm being very analytical. And then at some point, 5 hours later, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, cool, I did that. So painting is definitely, I have paintings all over my walls. But
Crazy.
painting is definitely one of my hobbies that I do to get my creative juices flowing,
Okay.
lose myself in it, and to just, enjoy. Another hobby that I have is like swimming, playing sports, being out in nature. I feel like is my favorite thing to do, just to kind of like separate myself from technology for a little bit, because my job is very tech
Hmm.
So to kind of get out in nature, get in the, I love water. So like any like put me in a pool, put me in the ocean, put me like somewhere. I love water.
Kind of soothing. It just, yeah, makes sense.
Around waterfalls, anything like that, I would definitely love that. Playing with animals, dogs in particular. Um, Photography, editing, just like being artistic and just kind of like getting my creative juices flowing, and also just like if it involves being active or getting my creative juices flowing, that's what I enjoy to do. Like even just like go bowling. Why not?
Yeah,
Just
yeah. Just have fun. Yeah.
just hang out with my friends, do something for fun.
No,
Yeah.
that checks out, man. One thing you haven't mentioned that I'm actually interested in, a lot on your page, like you have like a modeling experience as well. Do you kind of like do that as a hobby on the side, or like, you
It's
know,
kind of a side hustle hobby.
got it, got it.
Yeah. So I do make money from it sometimes, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get product from it.
Nice, okay.
Because like as a kid too, growing up, on top of wanting to be an actress, my dad worked away from home sometimes. So my mom and dad would record like my whole life. So I always thought I was on a reality TV show. Like
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
so, I was always on camera. So that's always just been something fun for me. That's something I've always been comfortable with.
yeah.
So that as well as just it's just fun. Like if I can make money by having fun, then no,
Yeah,
why?
why not?
So
Yeah.
modeling is just a lot of fun for me. Like I love the whole process. Like it's so much fun.
Super dope, man. That's super. I could tell. Like I've seen you post it. You kind of posted your process, and like you do a lot of modeling. You just see the final product, and it's like, oh my god, they're beautiful all the time. But you kind of. I remember you did a post. I think you were explaining your process and how it works, and it was really interesting, kind of to see the behind the scene kind of thing.
And
Um,
like I've tried to get into Sports Illustrated swim before.
nice.
I to the top 60. They did like a swim search. So I made it to the top 60, which was really dope too. So it's just one of those ones where just like every single little dream that I've had, which is like my biggest advice to anybody is just like if you have ever thought, hey, that's cool, that's a good idea, I might want to do that, do it. Just do it, just try. You
Mhm.
never know. Like the worst that anybody can tell you is no. And if they tell you no, okay, you just go living the life you were just living. Like, who cares? Whatever. But if they say yes, then that's dope. Like now you're doing something like that you want to do, that you worked hard for, that you thought you never could do it. And now you can. Like you have no idea what you can possibly do. When I went to try out for Sports Illustrated the first time, I was like, okay, well, I went to Miami. I was like, well, if I don't make it, at least I'm in Miami. Like that'll be fun. And
Yeah,
top 16, I was like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so it's one of those ones where it's like I am literally like living proof that like just do it, just follow your dreams because you never know from wherever you are. If you want to do it and you're willing to put the work in, because obviously you can't just, oh, I want to be in the NFL. Like no,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
you gotta put the work in. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
like you got to put the work in. But if you want to do it, try, put the work in, make some effort, do it, try it, see how it goes. Because the worst someone can say is no, and that's not the worst thing that somebody can say to you. So
I mean, you kind of beat me to the punch. I was gonna ask, I wanted to close out the interview and just, anything you could offer to young aspiring broadcasters and journalists trying to break into the industry. But I think the advice you kind of just said was just for life. I think that's a life. Uh, like, that's really, yeah. It's honestly the cheat code to life. I mean, like I wouldn't be here if you didn't try. And I think a lot of that is it's okay to fall on your ass a bit. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. Like
let's
as
catch it.
long, yeah, yeah. Honestly, like you take a shot in the dark, and like you just said, look, they say no, great, and it's up to you to either go back to the drawing board, fix up what you could have to try and be better for next time, or you just take a different route. You know what I mean? I think honestly, some of the things as adults we forget is kind of how to be creative, or we kind of forget a dream. You know what I mean? I think you start making money and kind of get on a path, and then you're stuck, right? And a lot of people forget how to be creative and go after their dreams and stuff. So I think that's really interesting. So thank you for sharing that. Is there any other advice or whatever you would like to leave with people, or any journalists and broadcasters out there trying to do what you do? Because that was great, by the way. That was great. Crazy.
That's like the main thing that I tell everybody is just if you want to do it, just do it. And the next one, honestly, is just network.
Mhm.
Network, put yourself out there. Don't be shy.
Mhm.
Practice. If you have goals, if you have dreams, stuff that you wanted as a kid, stuff that you want as an adult,
Yeah.
it's not out of reach. Anybody that you look up to, that you're like, oh, I want to do that. Like, that's cool. How did they get there? What did they do? You can do it too. Like, they started somewhere too.
Mhm.
They started at the bottom most times. They started at the bottom and they worked their way up.
Yep.
They took a chance. They put themselves out there. They met the right people. They had conversations with people. They knew what they wanted and they got there. So if
Yep.
they can do it that way, then so can you. You got to start somewhere. Even me, like, I have goals. Like, I want to hopefully report for the NBA one day. Right now, I'm working my way up. I'm very happy with where I am now. And I see like a very big, bright future ahead of me too. So I'm just going to keep working for that. I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to keep networking. I'm going to keep practicing. And when my time comes, when I have an opportunity to get there,
Take it.
I'm ready and I'm going to take it. And
Yep.
even if you don't feel ready, like you were saying earlier, like the fraud, imposter syndrome, if you feel like you're not ready, you are. Just do it. Like, might as well. Like, if an opportunity like comes to you,
Take it.
gotta take it. And like, sink or swim. You're gonna figure it out. If
Yeah.
it's meant for you, then you'll do it.
100%. I agree. I agree with that entirely. I can't thank you enough. I understand your busy schedule. You taking the time out with me, Set by Woods, as well as She Got Game. Taking the time to chat with us. I want to thank you for your time again, and just we'll definitely be in touch going forward. I really appreciate you for chatting with us.
I thank you for having me. What you guys are doing is dope. I love everything about what you guys stand for. And I think more people should be brought to your page and to what you guys do and what you guys talk about. I'm happy. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.